president, who's also the prime minister. China continues building its military might, today christening a new amphibious assault ship capable of launching fighter jets. It's designed to strengthen the Chinese Navy's combat abilities in distant seas. In Japan, the cabinet has approved a record $55 billion defense budget for next year. Japan beefing up its defense capability as it faces a growing threat from China, as well as North Korea and Russia. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are down 159 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Right now, with an important alert, home title fraud is one of the fastest growing white-collar crimes in the country. Criminals can make millions on your house without you even knowing it. Michael, you were one of those criminals?
Yeah, that's right. I was responsible for about $16 million in equity theft and title fraud.
Wow.
And to be honest, it was easy to do. It's just paperwork. So by the time you find out what's happening, the equity in your home is already gone.
So how do you keep your property and equity safe? For more, here's Action News reporter Ron Stevens.
Well, Monica, an in-depth investigation found there's actually just one company that prevents this type of crime from happening: Equity Protect. Equity Protect scans, monitors, alerts, and most importantly, protects you from any attempts to tamper with or steal your home equity and ownership 24 hours a day. Other companies merely monitor. Equity Protect stops the crime from happening. Find out if you're already a victim or take a free risk assessment today at equityprotect.com. That's equityprotect.com.
Rocket 102.5.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Daytime highs approaching 54 today under mainly clear skies, northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 28 tonight, mainly cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 56 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times and dry Sunday and Monday, upper 50s, Sunday, mid 50s by Monday. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 41 Tuesday, 41 Wednesday, and 43 on Thursday. Another look at the short range, a high of 54 today. Lows level off around 28 tonight. We should top off around 56 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently, it's 31 degrees.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2706. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-575-2706. That's 800-575-2706. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Goodland's Rocket 102.5 is your home for Goodland High School athletics. From touchdowns and three-pointers to home runs, Ross Volkmer has you covered with all the action. Join him for live broadcast on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, your front row seat to the Cowboys and Cowgirls. Select games video streamed on the Goodland Voice. GHS athletics this season are made possible in part by
Outdoor Bank, Moss Barger Family Farms, FNB Bank, Edward Jones Financial Advisor Chris Yost, and Ranchland.com and broker Craig Townsend.
At FNB Bank, we understand the backbone of our community is our local farmers and ranchers. Whether you're growing crops, raising livestock, or investing in new equipment, we're here to help you succeed. Our agricultural loans are tailored to meet the unique needs of your farm with flexible terms from people who understand what it takes to make it in agriculture. When you partner with FNB Bank, you're working with neighbors who know the land and are invested in your success. FNB Bank, rooted in our community, growing with you. Member FDIC.
Available at Next Tech Wireless in 4 bold colors: black, pink, teal, and ultramarine. Which iPhone 16 color will you choose? Built for Apple Intelligence with the all-new A18 chip, a new feature camera control, and a big boost in battery life. Get the new iPhone 16 on us. Next Tech Wireless. home on the range.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
The year-end clearance is on at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Save big on remaining hail vehicles like a 2024 GMC 2500 with some hail repaired. You can still take an additional $8,000 off. Or drive away in a 24 GMC Sierra 1500 and save up to $8,500 off, including rebates on lightly hailed units. Plus, enjoy 0% financing for up to 36 months on select new GMC and Chevrolet vehicles. These deals won't last long. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com and wrap up the year with incredible savings.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and social needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Get ready for the most electrifying football action of the season right here on Rocket 1025. Cheer on your Denver Broncos with every thrilling play, every game-winning drive, and every heart-pounding moment. Don't miss a second of action. Tune in all season long to Rocket 1025. Broncos football powered by FMB Bank, Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Colby Ag Center, Tubbs & Sons Ford Sales, Hoxie Feed Yard Imperial Beef, Next Tech Wireless, Burlington Ford, Zimmelman's Jewelry, and Vince's GM.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The region's only local sports talk.
Dynamite drop-in at Broadcast School has really paid off.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 1025, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guy is everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Touchdown, the Cowboys!
To the pros.
And Timmy back on the track. It's out of here. Bobby Witt Jr. delivers a go-ahead grand slam.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. This is from the Steeler 11. Near side, throw in the end zone. Caught, touchdown! Kansas City. Justin Watson becomes the hero of the drive. Mahomes will throw again. Right side with a little bit of room. Slings it sidearm into the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City. A historic touchdown for Travis Kelce. His 77th touchdown reception. An all-time Kansas City Chiefs record.
Wildcats will run it here in a nice crease. This is Dylan Edwards, breaks it into the open. He may score. He is at the 30, 20, 10, 5. Wildcat touchdown. He takes it from the 35 to the house. There's the snap. K-State with the football. They run it with Dylan Edwards. He got a crease. He is on the move. 20, 15, 10, 5. Wildcat touchdown. Wildcat touchdown. What a game. Have a game, Dylan Edwards. Wildcats score with 4:15 to go and lead by a point after being down by 17 earlier in the game.
Woo! That was a comeback for you there, folks. My goodness. Hope you stayed around and watched the rest of that game. I know some K-State fans be like, you know what? We're done with that. We're going to turn this off. We're going to get back to doing something else. But the Wildcats come back from being down, I think it was, 17 in the third quarter. Get the win at Rutgers. Man, that was an exciting bowl game there to really kind of kick off the bowl season. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. I am back in studio this morning. And Max, live from Kansas City. Not from the woodroom basement, though. It looks like something else in the house.
I'm in my room, facing the other way this time at the window. That's Kansas City right there. It's in that direction.
It looks more like a tree for my...
It is a tree. It is a tree. But if you go about If you go about 15 minutes in that direction past that tree, you would see beautiful arrowheads and Kauffman Stadium.
So we'll just have to use our imaginations.
100%.
Okay, we will do that. We'll try it the best that we
I do want to
possibly
say, you were one that definitely gave up on that game, because in our notes, I mean, probably in the third when it was a 17-point lead.
Yep.
Headline
Yeah.
was K-State's collapse.
Yep, I did have that in there, and then I went back and changed it. So, like I said, I will take full credit for that.
Yeah.
I did have K-State collapse in the notes. I said, "My goodness, they fell apart there." But then I had to change it to the comeback. That's kind of how it took to keep myself from having to do a lot of work before I go to bed. I just kind of do it as the day progresses on. So, credit to Kansas State. They changed the tenor of this show a little bit here today, because today our guest is going to be our good friend Cole Carmody from GoPowerCat.com. He's going to join us today and visit with us about that bowl victory for Kansas State. We'll touch more on what the K-State Wildcats are doing in the transfer portal now that we can officially turn the page to 2025 and their season. So we'll get to that with him. We'll even probably talk a little bit of K-State basketball with Cole Carmody as well, coming up here in segment 2. We'll have some fun in our final segment today. We will get to 3 up and 3 down. I always love that. So 3 random questions and 3 random answers coming your way. And we'll also take a look to the weekend ahead with 3 regional football teams in action. The Broncos, Colorado, and Nebraska all playing here. We'll get to that coming up in the walk-off. But we got plenty to discuss and plenty to recap from the time we last left you. Of course, our last show being on Tuesday. Hope everyone had a great holiday. Hope they had a great celebration. Hope everyone got to see their family, or maybe didn't get to see them if they didn't want to. Hope everyone got what they wanted when it came to that. And so I'm glad that you're back with us here on this Friday for edition of the Morning Blitz. Max, how was the holidays? Did you get to see everybody?
I did. It was great. Got to see Grandpa Gersh, our producer.
That's right. Producer Gersh. That's right.
Yeah, and then got to see the rest of my family last night, the other side. So it's been great.
We need to send you with a separate microphone and another camera so that Grandpa Gersh could just join us live on the air.
Right. I'm sure you could just join. Yeah. Well, there was conversations. That's all.
I'm sure there were.
There was conversations. There was negotiations that were had at the Christmas Eve dinner about a possible guest appearance.
There we go.
But I think it's he lives a little farther. He lives kind of by the plaza, for any people that know about KC that are listening. So he's a little farther out. So it would have been a drive for 8 o'clock. Not really.
Come on. Grandpa Gersh is not up to be at the show at 8 o'clock.
He's up, but he's up to watch the show. I don't know if he's ready to be.
I bet if you said, Grandpa Gersh, you want to join.
Well, this was his decision. I said it was all good. It was his decision.
Oh, no way.
He said he was going to watch the show from home today.
Color me surprised.
We are golfing tomorrow. I will say that.
Right.
But
is the weather going to be nice?
It'll be what it is. It's going to be about 47. It's supposed to rain a little bit, but we're going to play. It'll be me and my dad versus my grandpa and his good friend, and also longtime Kansas City Royals legend Willie Aikens. We'll be going up in a scramble matchup tomorrow. So,
oh man,
yeah, big time.
The Cavs against the baseballers.
Right, exactly. It's exactly what it is.
You got to transfer that strength from the calves through the waist and into the wrists. Hit that ball down the field, straight and far.
That's the goal.
There you go. All right, so plenty to get to here on a Morning Blitz on this Friday. Let's lead it off, though, with the front page.
Read all about it. Read all about it.
The top stories of today.
I got the early edition, hot off the press.
It's the front page on the Morning Blitz.
Front page, really?
Well, Christmas and the holidays got off to a great start for Max because his Kansas City Chiefs secured that number 1 seed with a win over the Steelers on Christmas Day. First and foremost, shout out to Netflix. A little bit of a rocky start, but boy, did it end with a high crescendo. 65 million viewers tuned in to watch the 2 games, whether it was the Steelers and the Ravens and the Texans, which was a horrific, ugly game, 31-2, or the Steelers and the Chiefs, which the Chiefs took care of business in probably their most convincing win of the season, 29-10. So shout out to Netflix. They got it right, and boy, did they cash in big time for that. Wow.
Yeah, that was good. Are you talking about the national anthem at the beginning? Was the rocky start?
Well, no, I think it was right away. I didn't see it live, but I heard that the initial, like when they opened up the broadcast, they went live like an hour before for pregame.
Yes.
They had some issues with some sound stuff, but they got it corrected. It was like, the first 5 to 10 minutes, and they got it right. And there's no hiccups the rest of the way.
Well, the anthem, they didn't have the mics directly inputted into the broadcast. So it was like we were kind of hearing it from the sound at the stadium. It was very odd. So that was kind of a mess up. But besides that, it was great. I love Iron Eagle. And JJ Watt was great. It was Nate Burleson was kind of he just kept calling TJ Watt like your little bro.
Yeah.
Like and JJ like completely wanted to keep it like kind of like normal, like he wasn't his brother for the most of the game. And then it was like Nate Burleson being like, "This is your little bro right there." And it was kind of odd. But great win for the Chiefs. It was just probably the best game all year. I mean, the defense played well. The offense is really is in stride, going at the perfect time. I really couldn't have asked for a better Christmas gift than a blowout win from Kansas City Chiefs. Still don't want to score 30. That's kind of on Xavier Worthy for that penalty. But 29 to 10 will do the job, do the trick.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing to me was to me that stood out to me the most is that we're coming up here on the end of the season. We're one game away from wrapping it up, the regular season, that is.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everything looked like it should have for Kansas City. It's how I think everybody thought they should have looked and how they actually did look. Actually, all came together for this time, for the first time all season. I mean, whether it was the offense that really, for the most part, had been the thing lagging behind. The offense really had struggled to piece things together, find ways to make things work. They really struggled with that, whether it was protection for Mahomes or not having a running game or guys dropping passes, whatever, or not being on the same page in the wide receiver room as the quarterback. It was just amazing me that for this entire time that just nothing had gone together. The defense maybe had a lackluster day in comparison to most of the season when they've been great. It was just amazing to me that now we're at the second to last game, the game where to this point in time of the season, it was the one that mattered the most, because if you win this one, you've locked up that number 1 seed, and everyone has to come to Arrowhead now in order, and then beat them in Arrowhead if they're going to make a Super Bowl run or to the Super Bowl down in New Orleans. So it's amazing to me that when it mattered, I don't want to say the absolute most, but when it mattered the most, all of a sudden everything looked together and looked. 320 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes, just 9 incompletions, 3 touchdowns, no picks. That's the stat line I think we all wanted to see throughout the year. Running the football could have been better, but it didn't matter because they passed the ball so greatly. Travis Kelce looked like his usual self with 8 receptions, including his 77th career touchdown, which surpassed the great Tony Gonzalez, who will pay the fine for Travis dunking the basketball on the goalpost. Xavier Worthy, the last couple of games, has started to look like the weapon they were hoping that he would be, the guy that can be out of the backfield. He can make plays out in space. All of a sudden, that's happening. Justin Watson had a couple of big catches, including a 49-yard reception in that game. Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins had their catches as well. It's just amazing to me. Oh, by the way, Harrison Butker is back as well, and he knocked in his 132-yard field goal. Everything just has come together at the perfect time for Kansas City. It's amazing to me how this has happened.
Isn't it great? But really,
the defense did what they usually do, and that was be great.
The defense played fantastic as well, and some of that was credit to Russell Wilson's interception to Justin Reed, which was pretty terrible. But that being said, it was Hollywood Brown coming back. It feels like it's really put everyone into the role that they were meant to be in. Without Rashee Rice and without Hollywood Brown, you had people kind of playing in roles that they weren't necessarily comfortable with, especially when it comes to Xavier Worthy. And now you have Hollywood Brown in his spot. Worthy is really playing where they wanted him to this entire season. And then you have Hopkins. And since Hopkins was traded, Mahomes has 18 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which is really Hopkins just being there and creating more options and creating that kind of that safety route for Mahomes to go to has been huge. And you can already tell that the connection that Mahomes and Hollywood have on the football field is special because they really worked on it all summer long. And now that we're seeing it on the field, they really trust each other a lot, which is huge. And then you have even Justin Watson for a drive for no reason. I was talking smack about him at the Christmas Eve table about how I'm sick of him running routes instead of someone else. And then here he comes and makes 2 big plays on that one drive. So good for Justin Watson. And yep, the defense played great. And now it's going to be the question of, do you bench the starters for all of week 18? Because this is a long time, Ross, to not play football. It's a long, long time.
I don't know. I don't think you take. I just don't. I think if you were playing this good for weeks on end, if you were playing 3 or 4 weeks on end this good, I would say, yeah, sure, why not? But this was kind of like the first week where it actually felt like it actually kind of all came together. Maybe another half of football to kind of put this in. No matter what the score is, play him for a quarter, play him for a half. Don't let him get too rusty. Then throw some of the backups in.
I agree.
Carson Wentz. I guess that would be me.
I wouldn't
just because they haven't. Like I said, if they had played like this for the previous 3 weeks or something like that, I'd be like, you know what, they'll be fine. But just because this was the first time it felt like all season they kind of actually looked like they were supposed to, in my mind, they should play.
I wouldn't play Trav. That's my opinion. I wouldn't play Trav because Travis has done this for so many years now, and him and Mahomes are fine. Like I'm fine with them playing 25 days or not going 25 days without playing. I don't feel like that's going to be an issue. He's getting old and he looked great, and if you can keep him as fresh as possible, I think that's what you got to do. But as far as everyone else, it's like, do you give Tooney some more reps at left tackle? You know, that could become big in the playoffs. I don't know. Well,
I think that's a package deal. If you're going to play Mahomes, you play Tooney. If you're not going to play Mahomes, you probably don't.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
I think hate to have Tooney get hurt and be out, and then whatever. I don't know. My guess is we'll see them probably not play. My guess is they will probably bench. They'll play a lot of the guys, which, you know what, Andy Reid's the head coach. He'll make that decision, and that'll be all fine. But I don't know. It's been amazing. It's been quite a season to watch the Chiefs piece it all together. And now that it's come together, and be so fascinating to see how the rest of the AFC shakes out, to see what the matchups will be. Yeah. But if there's one thing you can feel good about if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, is that you don't ever have to leave your home. Right. You can sleep in your own bed. You can stay, there in Kansas City, and everyone comes to you to try and knock you out. Now, are there teams that can do it? Absolutely there are. But it's going to be much more challenging to have to do it with them playing in your home arena, I think is the best way to look at it.
Definitely.
There you go. Great weekend for them. By the way, also a big win for Denver Broncos fans too, because maybe the Chiefs will bench those guys and the Broncos can get another win. So it could be a win there for the Broncos to put themselves officially in the playoffs. Right now, the Broncos sitting as the 7 seed at this point in time in the playoffs. All right, transitioning here on the front page, I want to quickly get to the last night's game, Kansas State's comeback in the Rate Bowl, as they get a 44-41 win over Rutgers. Did you watch much of this game last night, Max? I mean, I was with my wife's family, which are all K-State people, so we were glued in on it all night.
Well, I was with my KU family, so we were not glued into the game, unfortunately. But I was checking in and out of the game, but I watched the highlights. Of course, the 2 times I checked when it was 34-17, I was like, K-State's going to lose. Haha. And then I check again and it's like, oh, shoot, they're going to win this football game. But, I saw a lot of people complaining about Rutgers coaching, throwing the football up 17 in the third quarter. And then Dylan Edwards had a fantastic game. And what I'm sorry, K-State fans, but what class is Dylan Edwards? Is he back next year?
Yes, Dylan Edwards was at Colorado as a freshman. He treated
That's where I know.
Kansas State. He was a sophomore this year. He played some, not a lot, because this is the first time he really got a lot of action because DJ Giddens said, I'm going to the NFL. Plenty good, whatever, understandable. The shelf life for running backs is not very long, so get in there when you can. But Dylan Edwards, it was fun. It was really interesting to watch Kansas State come out of the gate. Kansas State came out of the gate and they did a lot of things to get to the edge. They made Rutgers get outside the hashes. They were throwing a lot of passes in the flats, throwing and running a lot of runs to the wides, trying to get wide and outside, trying to make Rutgers go sideline to sideline defensively. It was working early on. Rutgers made some defensive changes and Kansas State struggled in the middle of the game because they were still trying to go out wide, and it really wasn't working that well. And then they tried to power it at Rutgers, and it wasn't working, and then they busted off a couple of long ones. Dylan Edwards had a long run. Avery Johnson had a long run. So then they went back up the middle after they kind of tried to pass a little bit, and that did not go great. Avery Johnson was not great throwing the football. Just finished 15 of 30. Did have 3 touchdowns, but a pick. But 15 of 30 is not a great completion percentage. But they ran the ball exceptionally well, 347 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. That will get it done every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And so that was the thing. They ran the ball, and K-State's defense, which was not great for most of the game, came up with the critical stops when they needed it. I mean, their secondary really struggled, gave up some plays to some bigger wide receivers. But yeah, I don't know. Rutgers, I think, changed their play calling a little bit, didn't run the ball as much as maybe they should late in the game, lengthened the game out a little bit too much. They got too excited because their big wide receivers were making plays against the smaller defensive backs for Kansas State, which, by the way, anybody who watched that game last night, Rutgers looked like the Monstars from Toon Squad. They looked like the Monstars from Space Jam. They were absolutely massive in comparison to Kansas State. K-State looked small compared to Rutgers. But as the game went on, the small, quick Wildcats just continued to make the big plays, including the big runs by Dylan Edwards, the 65-yarder at the end to kind of seal it for the victory. Or no, it wasn't 65-yarder. I think that was a 20-some-yarder that got it done and gave them the lead, and the defense got the stop. I don't know. It was a fascinating game to watch because there were so many ebbs and flows to that game. Kansas State was feeling good early. Rutgers felt good early. Both teams were moving the ball down the field in their first, 3 or 4 possessions. Then Kansas State stalled out offensively while Rutgers kept going to build that 34-17 lead. And then here came K-State's offense. They made the right decisions, and they took off from there.
Combined, both quarterbacks, 19 of 62. Not good quarterback play in the Rate Bowl. But both
of those guys are not great passers, though. I mean, that's the one thing you have to. I mean, that's no offense to Avery Johnson, but
they're not going to like that.
They're not the greatest of passers. Now, can Johnson develop into a better passer? Yes, he can. But his strength is his speed and his athleticism. It is no doubt his strength.
Did you see the fake tush push?
I did see the fake tush push. That was smart. Kind of give it to the running back, run outside. I love the first touchdown for Avery Johnson running the football. It was his only touchdown. They ran a play. They had him in the backfield, and Rutgers must have thought there was going to be like a quarterback power play up the middle. And so Avery just took the ball and ran left. Everybody crashed in for Rutgers. I mean, Avery ran to the left side. There was not a soul in red around him. It was
smart.
I mean, it was super easy. I don't know how in the heck that happened, but it's very fascinating to see this Kansas State team. They didn't show as much power and physicality as I think most K-State teams did. They showed more quickness and speed, and I'm intrigued to see if that's what they're going to do next year going forward. With DJ Giddens, they were able to power the football more with him. But with Dylan Edwards and Joe Jackson, they weren't just completely just trying to just run it right at you and power ahead. They were really trying to showcase their speed and quickness. I'm interested to hear what Cole Carmody has to say about that when it comes to their running style going into next year. It just felt a little bit different, a little bit more finesse than power, I guess is the way I would put it. And it worked out in the end. But that was definitely a roller coaster ride of emotion for Kansas State fans. I mean, it's like, good start. Oh my gosh, we stink and we're not going to win this game. We're going to get blown out. Hey, we've come back and won. I can't believe that happened. But anyway, good performance. And I tell you what was very interesting to watch is I was watching this game with my brother-in-law, and and he's a big K-State follower, and I'm just like, I don't know some of these guys. Like, I don't know who is Dante. I didn't really hadn't seen Dante Cephas much. I didn't know who Joe Jackson was. There were some guys I'm like, I don't know who these guys were because they really hadn't had a chance to play. Then they got an opportunity to play in this game. And that was fascinating to see. And that's what I kind of like about the bowl games. I guess we get to see what could be coming down the pipe for these teams. But hey, credit to Kansas State. Some fun facts before we get to break here on Kansas State. But I put this down in my Twitter notes. If I can pull them up here, we'll see if I can do this or not. Come on,
Even
Ross.
Sterling Lockett. Shout out Sterling Lockett.
Yep, he was there. I was
from
waiting for him to run a punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So here we go. Another Lockett. What do you know?
He's from around this neck of the woods where I'm at right now.
Yep, you're right. He is. Kansas State finishes the season 9-4. They've won 3 bowl games in the last 4 years. And here's a list of Power 4 football teams who have earned 3 straight 9-win seasons, including at least 1 conference title. Here's the list. Kansas State. Here's the other ones. Oregon, Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama. Pretty good company the Wildcats find themselves in. It's also that's the first time they've won 3. They've had 3 consecutive 9-win seasons. First time they've done that since the 1993 to 2000 when they did it from that stretch in 9 consecutive seasons. So that was impressive there from Kansas State. That is for sure. All right, we've got to get to a break. Cole Carmody's going to join us next. Before we get out of the break, I wanted to quick give a shout out to my Huskers and Nebraska men's basketball, winners of the Diamond Head Classic in Hawaii. By the way, that's the first time Nebraska's won a midseason tournament since 2000. Max, you weren't even alive.
Yep, that's pre-me. That's pre-me. It's a long time ago, Ross.
Cole Carmody was alive in 2000. No. He says
no.
See?
Ross, you're getting
bunch
old.
of babes on this show, and the
You're-
old man,
man.
Ross. Bunch of babes and old man
Yes.
Ross is what it is. There you go. The front page here on a Friday morning in the Morning Blitz. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Cole Carmody's going to join us next to talk more on that K-State impressive come from behind victory in the Rate Bowl last night. You're listening to a Friday edition of the Morning Blitz.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, Jared Law with the Andersons in Overland Park, Kansas, with your morning market update. No overnight markets last night for the Ags, but corn on the March, 448.5, May, 455, December 25, 437 and a quarter. Beans on the Jan, 975 and a quarter, March, 981 and a quarter, July, 1001 and a quarter. KC wheat on the March, 543 and 3/4, May, 551 and 3/4, July, 560 and a quarter. Chicago wheat, 534.5. Feeder cattle, 255.85. Live cattle, 190.80. Lean hogs, 84.37.5. Crude oil futures up 40 cents a barrel at 70.50. Gold futures up 11.10 at 2,633.90. Silver up 2 cents at $30.03. Dow futures are down 145 at 43,500. S&P futures down 21 and a quarter at 60.76.5. If you need to move any cash grain or want to talk about risk management, you can reach out to myself, Jared Law, Tom Sluto, or Tyler Gosch at 913-748-3000. If you're out in Colorado, you can reach out to John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Imagine having 86% more days with perfect weather. Imagine having an extra 4 hours every morning or a combine that's 86% more powerful. That's the feeling of a Revitec fungicide harvest. Revitec is proven to outperform the competition 86% of the time, providing up to 9.5 more bushels per acre. It's the #1 recommended choice by growers. Visit Revitec.com and look forward to a future that's 86% more secure. Always read and follow label directions.
The only competition that really matters is you versus you. And with the performance of Veltima fungicide from BASF, you can take your best results even further. Veltima fungicide is on your side to out-yield the competition by an average of 7 bushels per acre, but you've never been average. Beat your own record, get every bushel you deserve, and make this your best season yet with Veltima fungicide from BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Natural gas is a safe, efficient fuel for your home. On its own, natural gas has no smell. That's why, for your safety, we odorize natural gas pipeline. That distinctive rotten egg smell could be a sign that you have a gas leak. If you have a compromised sense of smell, consider purchasing a methane detector. If you suspect a leak, don't touch light switches, use phones, or anything that could cause a spark. Get everyone out of the building immediately and call Midwest Energy. A safety message from Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative making energy work for you.
My dad was killed by a drunk driver on Thanksgiving. Supposed to go over and I made him a cherry cheesecake.
My father and I were hit by a drunk driver and he was killed. We were driving home from Christmas shopping.
Driving impaired can forever change the holidays.
Just 2 days ago, I caught myself trying to call him.
Christmas is definitely not the same because you know that he's not going to be there.
Always drive sober. A message from the Kansas Department of Transportation and all the victims of impaired driving crashes.
The only way to start your day.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
With Ross Volkmer and the Morning Blitz.
Overcast start to the day here in the tri-state region. Even a little foggy over further to the east into the southeast. The 35 degrees on our way to a high in the 50s. Going to be temperatures between 50 and 60 for the foreseeable future out here in the tri-state region on the high plains. So pretty nice weather coming our way. We're pleased to welcome into the program good friend from 24/7 Sports Go Power Cat. He's also a full-time teacher when he's not doing this stuff. Cole Carmody. Morning, Cole. How we doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys too. You know, it's Christmas break. Kansas State just got a huge win in a bowl game, so I'm fired up. You know, these 8:30 media calls used to be hard for me before I was a teacher, but now since I'm up early, you know, it's really quite easy.
What do they got? Are you still teaching? I think you were teaching social studies, I think, last year or something along those lines. Is that what it is again this year?
Yes, I'm actually back home at Olathe North High School teaching social studies. Olathe North coming out to play in the Colby Classic here coming up pretty soon. So might be having to take a trip to see the good old Goodland Cowboys and Olathe North Eagles if they can match up in the finals.
There you go. Oh, that'll be fun. Oh man, you'll have to come out and spend time at my place.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's right. Well, your open invitation to the Volkmer household there, Cole. Come on in by. I've got a nice refrigerator full of refreshing beverages.
I appreciate that.
Cole Carmody, our guest here on the Morning Blitz, joining us to talk a little Kansas State football. Boy, that was a roller coaster of a game there, wasn't it? Of emotions, ups and downs, wasn't it, man?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it felt like at times, you know, that K-State was going to get blown out. I'm sitting there watching the game with some people, and when they're down by 17 points, I'm kind of looking around, I'm going, this game's over. And, you know, with the way that Rutgers had played, it really felt like it was over because credit to Rutgers, they were really good in the first half. And I thought K-State's offense was really good in the first half. K-State's defense wasn't. But I think mostly it was just Rutgers was executing on offense, and it looked like they had a game plan. Ross, if you listened to Chris Kleiman earlier in the week, he said 70% of his time had been spent on the transfer portal and 30% of his time had been spent game planning. I kind of felt like that showed in the first half, and Rutgers took advantage of it. But, man, credit K-State because they fought and they did not give up and ultimately came back and got the win.
What did you feel was, in your mind, the turning point of that game, or what changed to force that comeback?
That's a good question because there were some people who kind of brought up Austin Moore made a play on third down when K-State was down by 17. To me, it had to have been the Dylan Edwards run. I mean, 65-yard touchdown run. K-State's down by 17 points. They get a stop for the first time all game, and then Dylan Edwards, the very first play of scrimmage from the offense, takes it 65 yards to the house. I definitely felt like at that moment in time, I want to say there was about 7 minutes left in the third quarter. It's like, okay, well, now it's back to a 2-score game. If K-State can get a stop, make it a 1-score game going into the fourth quarter, they're going to have a shot. And they did that, obviously, and completely outplayed Rutgers from that moment on. But it had to have been the 65-yard touchdown run because seeing Dylan Edwards do what he did, you know, for a guy who's seen Dylan Edwards since he was a sophomore in high school, him and Avery Johnson, I think a lot of folks around K-State have been waiting for that particular moment because they know how special Dylan can be. They already know how special Avery is. And so seeing those two guys from the state of Kansas perform on that stage, I think it really energized not only the players, but just everyone around that building because very, very bright future ahead of those two young men.
You know, I don't think I realized he's from Derby, Kansas.
Yeah.
So he probably beat up my high school a couple times in state, Blue Valley North.
Yeah, Dylan stand out at Derby.
Definitely
won a state championship actually against Blue Valley North, and so
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Dylan Edwards is a winner, and so is Avery Johnson. Both of those guys grew up, you know, as high school, and even before longtime buddies, and so it was really cool to see them shine at the.
Yeah, they played little league football together. Down there in the Wichita area. So that's kind of the connection you have. Yeah. I don't know about you, Cole. There was a play. Austin Moore came in on a blitz and they caught a negative play out of Rutgers. I don't know. I felt like maybe that was at least the turning point for the defense because, boy, the defense had some massive struggles, it felt like, most of the game. But when they needed the critical stops, they were able to come up with it. So what do you think was the difference defensively?
Again, it's hard to really like pinpoint something because in the first half, Rutgers was really good with the quarterback run game. And I don't think K-State anticipated that. And I didn't think the quarterback for Rutgers was a particularly good athlete, but he kind of just, they were playing a numbers game. They would do some quarterback read, leave a guy unblocked, and he would just take it and go around the edge. K-State started to adjust to that, but I also think they started to blitz. And I think that was really the difference, Ross, was K-State was tired of sitting back and getting beat, and they were going to go after the quarterback. And throw in the fact that these referees absolutely called nothing in the secondary. I mean, they let those guys play like it was nobody's business. And so I think K-State felt like, all right, well, we're just going to sit in the house. And if you're getting beat, just grab onto the guy because the refs aren't going to call it. And they didn't for both teams. But credit K-State's young guys as well. Zayshawn Rich, a true freshman cornerback, got absolutely toasted in the first half. Comes back, makes the stop on fourth down that ultimately seals the game for K-State. There's a lot of young guys that stepped up. But yeah, I think it was really just getting pressure on the quarterback and disrupting his rhythm because I think that's what ultimately cost Rutgers the game.
Cole, I want to talk more about just the season in general for a second. What do you think, or how would you grade Avery Johnson's season?
It's interesting because if you talk to some folks will tell you that it was a disappointing season for Avery, and I guess I could understand that. Now, the thing that I will kind of push back on that is that last night he broke the single season all-time passing touchdowns records in a season. I mean, this is a kid in his first year starting through 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So obviously, you want those interception numbers to go down a little bit, but people forget that Will Howard set that record last year. He threw 24 and Avery Johnson topped it last night with 25. And so there were definitely times where inopportune turnovers really hurt K-State, but I've kind of felt like that was maybe more so on the coaching staff for putting the guys in position to maybe not be as successful as they could be. I think you can attribute that a lot to a first-year offensive coordinator. I thought Avery Johnson had a really good season. He maybe wasn't as dynamic with his legs due to some health issues that some people wanted him to be, but I think that this was a great building block year. And like I've been telling people, man, you win 9 games, you go 9-4, and you use that as a rebuilding year. I think any school in America would take that. Obviously, the expectations after you started 7-1 were higher aspirations, but credit to this guy, credit to this team, credit to this coaching staff. They didn't quit, and they found a way to get a bowl win. And I think that overall, especially for Avery, it was a really successful season.
Cole Carmody is our guest. He joins us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream here on this Friday morning, talking about K-State's win over Rutgers last night, 44-41. Was it just me? And I know you've watched the games a lot closer than I have, probably, Cole, and probably watched them over multiple times. But I felt like the offense was different last night. Something was different about it. It was more, to an extent, finesse than maybe just strength. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I think part of that is because of no DJ Giddens. Chris Kleiman said they want to get their guys out in space. And that's something that we have been hammering our fists on the table all year long, saying use your athletes. And it just felt like they hadn't. But, I mean, how many times did K-State run jet sweeps? It had to have been like 4, 5, 6 times that K-State ran jet sweeps or the jet sweep read. And Avery Johnson would pull it and run up the middle for 15 yards as the Red Sea parted. I mean, it really felt like there was some more creativity. It felt like they were going a little bit more left and right as opposed to, to up and down, as you will. So I was really impressed with the offense, not just because they scored 44 points, but the fact that they were able to get the ball in the hands of the playmakers. And something that people don't realize is K-State was literally playing with one receiver. I mean, Jaden Jackson and Dante Cephas were practically out there doing cardio. These are two guys who haven't hardly played at all this year. And Jace Brown's been the number 1 receiver. K-State obviously lost their other 2 receivers to the transfer portal, and Trace Spivey and Keegan Johnson. And so Jace Brown goes out there, has 60 yards receiving, catches 5 or 6 balls, has 45 yards rushing, and Dante Cephas and Jaden Jackson combined for 3 catches. And so Avery Johnson did this with Dylan Edwards, Joe Jackson, Jace Brown, and Garrett Oakley. And those were his only receiving options. And so the fact that K-State was able to score 44 points with those limited options, I was really impressed with the offense.
Yeah, what does that say? That's the one thing that's interesting about nowadays in college football is that the bowl season really gets you a good snapshot of what you could see next season. So with that being said, how does that make you feel about 2025?
Well, I mean, from an offensive perspective, K-State's gone out and added 2 really talented players in the transfer portal at the wideout position, and Jerron Tibbs from Purdue and Jaron Bradley from Texas Tech and Boston College. So I think that if those guys can be better than Cephas and Jackson, K-State's going to be set at the receiver position. They also have a really good recruiting class to the tone of top 30 in the country. And so obviously led by Lincoln Cure. So I think you throw him into the mix, even if he doesn't have to be someone who can start right away. That's a guy who I think they're expecting to play. You're going to have a really talented offense. And when you have a core of young players, anytime you have a core of young players, those strides that they make from the end of the bowl game to August, when K-State travels to Dublin to take on Iowa State to open the season in week 0, I think the offense is going to look pretty similar, but there's going to be some new pieces, and I think they're only going to help. And they're not expected to be major contributors right off the bat because the major contributors are returning. That was the biggest difference between last season and this season. So I think K-State feels really good about that. And defensively, kind of the same story. You lose Brendan Mott and Austin Moore, but other than that, they're going to be able to replace a lot of those guys that they lose internally. And I think anytime you're doing that, that shows the sign of a healthy program.
Well, there's no doubt it's a healthy program. I mean, first time they've won 3 consecutive 9-win seasons since the mid 90s to 2000. So it's definitely and like you said before, if it's a rebuilding year and you got 9 wins, that's pretty darn good for any program. That it doesn't matter who it is at this point in time. Cole Carmody is our guest from GoPowerCat.com, joining us here on this Friday morning. You mentioned the offense about some guys in the portal. Who are some other guys? How about defensively in the portal that they're bringing in, or maybe they need to still go out and get, because there is another portal window opening up here in January?
Yeah, I mean, really, they haven't lost anybody to the portal defensively. And so you're looking at replacing, as I mentioned before, Austin Moore at linebacker. Well, they've done that. They went out and they acquired Gabe Powers from Ohio State, a guy who was a backup for Ohio State, blocked by some NFL linebackers, has multiple years of eligibility. They feel really confident in him. They've replaced the secondary, which they felt like was a weak spot. They went ahead and added a transfer Jaden Rowe from Oklahoma. They went ahead and added Gunnar Maldonado to kind of replace that Marquise Siegel captain of the defense role. This is a guy who was a 2-time captain at Arizona, started in 4 seasons for the Wildcats, comes now to K-State, expected to be a leader. And so they've really taken some big swings in the transfer portal. And I it's to be seen. Are they going to be able to produce at the level they want? I don't know. But again, I kind of look at it as an insurance policy, because they're not counting on these guys. They're not banking on these guys, I should say, to be all conference players. If they don't pan out, you saw last night that K-State has a team that is good enough as it stands right now to compete with pretty much anyone. We've seen that this year. So obviously losing some of the guys, Jacob Parrish, can't go without talking about him, a guy who declared for the NFL draft at the cornerback position. There's going to be some guys that they're going to miss, but I think with the way that they're operating in the transfer portal and the way they feel about their young guys, Ross, it's really just about supplementing the roster because they feel like they've got their core intact.
I don't know how I'm going to word this question, but let's just say last year that comeback doesn't happen. How much different is our conversation this morning on the future of K-State football?
It's a very valid question. And as we sit here 12 hours after the game, I don't know if I have an answer for you, because I mean, it's like I was kind of talking with that about, like, imagine what the rhetoric would be if K-State lost that game by 17 points. They gave up. They lost by 20. They get blown out. I think people just would get PTSD to K-State basketball, because everybody would be wondering, oh, the K-State's never going to win again. They need to fire the coach. Like, if they would have lost this game, I think most of the rhetoric would have been very frustrated, but it was a meaningless bowl game. But of course, K-State comes back and wins that game. And we're not talking about it being a meaningless bowl game. We're talking about it being a springboard to next year, which, guys, by the way, I think is totally valid, because these bowl games mean something. And if you don't think that these bowl games mean anything, go watch the 6 overtime game with Toledo and Pittsburgh. Go watch that game against K-State and Rutgers last night. Some of these other bowl games that have gone down to the wire. These bowl games mean something to these players. And I think this is the best thing that can happen for college football, is for these bowl games to continue to be played, because it really shows how much the sport needs these games.
Yeah, the thing I love about it the most, these bowl games, is you get to see, like we did, like I was watching the game with my brother-in-law, and I was like, I don't know that guy for Kansas State. I've watched a lot of games. I don't know who number 4 is, Joe Jackson. I don't know who that is. We've seen Dylan Edwards a little bit, but to see him used as the feature back definitely changed. Like I said, offense going from more power to finesse at this point in time. And like you said, the Cephas and other wide receivers, I don't know those guys, who those guys are. Rich, the cornerbacks, I don't know who those guys are, but they get their chance. And those are the exciting things. If once again you can hold on to these pieces, with another portal coming, you never know in today's game football, which is weird, but that's just the way it is. Very interesting. Cole Carmody, our guest from GoPowerCats.com. Before we let you go, Cole, I want to get your thoughts on K-State basketball so far this year. I know there's been a lot of negativity surrounding the program with a couple of losses. I've had my own personal thoughts on that, but go ahead with what you think on K-State basketball this year.
Well, Ross, I thought you were going to let me out of here without having to talk about that. No, so
can't all be sunshine and rainbows, man.
I know it really is the exact opposite of that right now, and I wish I had like a explanation for what's going on. But this is a team that I think has talented players. I've seen these guys perform. I mean, Doug McDaniel averaged 20 points a game at Michigan. He can't seem to stay on the court at K-State. Coleman Hawkins, I think, has not been the problem. There's been a lot of people who've been frustrated with him for off-the-court reasons, which, my opinion of the whole NIL situation is, if that is the going rate and you're willing to pay that, then that's not the kid's fault. And unfortunately, that's kind of the world we live in. And it's kind of just the situation that Coleman Hawkins finds himself in. It's a lose-lose situation, because the number for NIL gets floated out there, and all of a sudden you're going to be judged on, are you a $2 million man or are you not? And I don't think that right now Coleman Hawkins has been worth $2 million, but at the end of the day, I have no idea what $2 million is worth in college basketball. So I can only sit here and tell you, I think he's been a good leader for this team, but unfortunately there's not a lot of guys to lead, because I think there are some issues that are going on inside Jerome Tang's locker room. And I hope that he finds a way to fix it. I still have faith that Coach Tang and this group will salvage something out of this season. Any shot at a postseason berth, I think, is out the window unless they just completely go on a run, which I would be surprised. I wouldn't be floored. I would be surprised. But after that loss to Wichita State, it just doesn't look very good. And I think that they're going to just need to go fully embrace the youth movement here and get some of these younger guys on the court to get some experience, because I do think they have some guys that they'll want to keep next year instead of doing this whole same song and dance, add 12 guys from the transfer portal. I think they're going to want to try and keep some of these guys together. And the best way at making sure that you get your players to stick around is to give them valuable playing time. Unfortunately, that's kind of the situation K-State basketball finds itself in.
Truth bombs there from Cole.
There was a lot.
Absolute lot of truth. Everything was on that was on the money.
Nope.
On the money there.
That was fantastic, Cole. That was well done. You got to play. You got to get those younger guys in there and build the program that way. You got to do it. There's not many programs out there that can just rebuild every year through the portal and make it work. And so you got to find a way. And I'll tell you what, for Coach Tang, it's an extremely difficult job to do, to try and keep people happy enough to stick around through your program. Because what happens most of the time is you develop a guy through a year and he's like, I didn't get to play, I'm leaving, going somewhere else. You spend a whole year and hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars on, food and whatever else to keep that kid happy, building his body right, and he goes somewhere else to use his talents. The system stinks someday. He's Cole Carmody, our good friend from GoPowerCats.com. Cole, thank you so much for joining us during your holiday break, getting up with us. We appreciate that. And we'll catch up soon, all right? Thank you for the time.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Great stuff. Cole Carmody from GoPowerCats.com. We'll take a break, come back. 3 up, 3 down to wrap up the show next here on a Friday Morning Blitz.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities, contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
The year-end clearance is on at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Save big on remaining hail vehicles like a 2024 GMC 2500 with some hail repaired. You can still take an additional $8,000 off. Or drive away in a 24 GMC Sierra 1500 and save up to $8,500 off, including rebates on lightly hailed units. Plus, enjoy 0% financing for up to 36 months on select new GMC and Chevrolet vehicles. These deals won't last long. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com and wrap up the year with incredible savings.
Merry Christmas from the Farmers State Bank in Oakley. We invite you to stop into our lobby for coffee and cookies throughout the month of December as our small way of saying thank you to our loyal customers. We appreciate your business in 2024 and throughout our 117 years of community banking and look forward to serving you in the new year. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
No one rambles on better than Ross Volkmer.
All you do is talk on
the Morning Blitz.
Wrapping up a Friday show here on the Morning Blitz with a little bit of fun here. But thanks again to Cole Carmody for joining the show. Always great to have him on. Great insight, great information. 3 up, 3 down. Oh, man, I love this. This is so much fun. I always love 3 up, 3 down just because it's unique and something different. And, we're not really like I said, real quickly, we'll get to the weekend slate here in the walk-off. There is some stuff coming up on Saturday with a lot of football, but otherwise a pretty quiet sports weekend for the most part. I do know that the winter moratorium is over now in high school sports, so kids can get back to practicing after about 5 days off or so with no practice. So all area teams will be back practicing again here starting up today. All right, let's get to it. Little 3 up, 3 down.
3 questions.
Let me ask you something.
3 answers.
Answer the question.
It's 3 up, 3 down on the Morning Blitz.
All right. You want to lead off, Max, or do you want me to lead off with a question?
You go ahead.
All right. What was the top gift you received this holiday?
Top gift? Well, it's funny. So I don't think I haven't actually opened this gift yet, but it is. So I asked for. Yeah, I mean, I asked for a new driver. And there is a long golf driver-shaped gift wrap sitting on the table downstairs that I will be opening tonight because we play tomorrow. So that's definitely got to be one of them.
What kind of driver?
I don't know. That's the thing. I do not know because
you didn't ask for specific
Well, my uncle is a lot better at golf than me and knows a lot more intricates about clubs and stuff. So I kind of I give him.
You refer to him.
I tell my dad to refer to him for the driver. That's great. Also, Grandpa Gersh gave me 150 golf balls. So that'll last me about 2 rounds. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we'll see.
You're not that bad, are you?
Well, sometimes.
Some days.
But those are two of the best. And this, look, this is also new. So
nice. The official uniform of broadcasters everywhere. The quarter zip, KC Royals.
Well, you always wear the quarter zips. So I got 3. I got a Royals, Jayhawks, and Chiefs. Yeah, I got a Chiefs one too. So I thought I was like, well, why don't I need to get some quarter zips.
Yeah,
the move.
The official uniform of broadcasters.
Right.
The quarter zips.
Right.
That's what we are for sure.
All right. My first question, broadcaster that you most look up to or looked up to.
Oh, great question. There are many, but I would say there are probably 3 that stand out to me. Number 1 is probably Kevin Kugler. You'll see him on the NFL.
Yeah.
You'll see him do stuff for Westwood One. I've always loved his story. He was a Nebraska guy that started out small town, worked his way up through all the different levels to make it to now doing NFL with Fox, which I just think is a great story. I have so much respect for those who start low and work their way up. Whoa. don't know why that's taken off there. But anyway, that was random. Anyway, I just always enjoyed. I've always enjoyed his work. He's always done great work. So Kevin Kugler's one I've always looked up to. Good friend of the friend who's joined us to the show before, Dave Riggert. He's kind of been one of my mentors over the time. Dave Riggert, I've always enjoyed him because he was from a small town like I was and worked his way up to Division I job. So I always thought he's good. And being a Nebraska guy, I love Greg Sharp. I wish the best for Greg Sharp, who's dealing with pancreatic cancer. It's a horrible deal, but following Nebraska athletics as long as I have, I've always enjoyed him. I've always enjoyed all of my Nebraska guys, whether it's Greg Sharp or KP, Kent Pavelka, who's a little nutty. John Baylor, same thing. They're a little nutty, but I love them. I think they're just guys that have fun with it, and that's what I try to do. I like to have fun during the broadcast. It's not all. Try to be a professional, but that's one thing. They're all professional, but they know how to throw in little subtle, little funny things that I think is just hilarious, and I love that. They're not too serious with themselves, and I think that's great. So I've got a lot of guys I look up to, but
love it.
Probably no bigger than Kevin Kugler. Probably.
Love it.
He's a master of a lot of things. He's great. He is great in play-by-play. He is great in sports talk. He is awesome in everything he does. He is super good.
Definitely.
All right, we're doing a little 3 Up, 3 Down here on a Friday. My second question on 3 Up, 3 Down. What is the favorite board game or card game to play in the Gershon household during the holiday season?
Oh, man. We haven't played a board game in a minute. We used to on New Year's Eve play board games at my grandma's house. And we would Snakes and Ladders, is that a game? Did I just make that up? Shoots and Ladders. Yeah, that's what it is. Shoots and Ladders. We used to play that one. That one sticks out from the childhood. I'm a big Monopoly guy.
Okay.
I love Monopoly. We actually, at one point, we had the one with the credit card.
Oh, yeah.
That one was pretty fun.
I think my wife actually has that game in our basement. I think she has credit card Monopoly.
It makes it a lot easier, really. You don't have to deal out the. I mean, it's not real Monopoly, I guess, but it makes it a lot easier.
We played Monopoly Deal this holiday season.
Interesting.
Which is one. It's just there's no board. It's actually just all cards, and it's played a little bit different way, but it's kind of the same. I don't know, but yeah, we did that this year. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
yeah, we're not huge board game people. But those are the ones that stick out to me for sure. So, all right, my second question. Now I'm gonna need you to dig deep for this one because this is gonna be tough.
All right.
If you could choose a different college team to be a fan of, what would it be?
And here comes my wife chiming in 3, 2, 1. Oh gosh. My wife would say I have to be a K-State fan because that's her team. And so if Nebraska wasn't around, I'd have to choose Kansas State begrudgingly.
What if you went outside of the region? So you can't pick K-State. How about that? So I make it a little easier or harder or easier.
If I had to pick a college team outside of the region, growing up for a while, I was a Florida fan. I loved Tim Tebow.
That's my answer too.
I liked Tim Tebow in Florida. But I don't really like it that much anymore. God, trying to think of what other team I like. I don't know. I'm like a lot of kids. I liked Oregon. I loved all the uniform changes. Uncle Phil and all the money. I mean, how is that not great and fun and cool? Yeah, there are tons. There's lots of programs. Shoot, man. I'm such a huge fan of college football. I'm sure I could find another program or something, but yeah, I don't know. Those probably Oregon would probably be one. A program they're kind of still in the region, but I've always liked Oklahoma State.
Okay.
I've always liked Okie State, and I think it's because I love the uniforms that Oklahoma State has. I love Gallagher Iba Arena. I think it's super cool where they play basketball, and because it's an old wrestling, it's meant for wrestling, and so it's really steep down so you can see. So everyone's really on top of you. And I think they have great college baseball program there. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I'm going Okie State.
Well, I love that they have a special place in my heart now because I met a lot of the guys on the team I called this summer for Greenville are on Oklahoma State's baseball team, and they're some of my favorite guys that I met. So shout out Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State's got great
baseball
facilities. They've got great Batman. And I know, gosh darn it, I forget his name. The big oil donor guy that's no longer alive, but T. Boone Pickens. There we go. He left all the money there. So I'll go Okie State. That'll be my
cool.
Rando. All right, number 3 for me on 3 Up, 3 Down here. Teddy Bridgewater is coming back to the NFL after leading his former high school to a state title as a head coach, Miami Northwest. Do you think you could step onto your old high school baseball team and get a hit in 3 at-bats?
Do you think I could step on
from today? If you were asked this spring, you were asked to step back onto the diamond and get a hit
in 3 at-bats.
3 at-bats. Could you get one?
It depends what team we're playing. We're playing Blue Valley.
We're playing a middle of the road team, not the worst team, not the best. Middle of the road.
Yeah, I think
you really think so. Okay.
If we were playing Blue Valley Southwest, God no, because I couldn't even do that when I was playing on the baseball team. If we were playing, Barstow or a smaller school out here in this area, I'd feel pretty confident that I could get a hit. Probably on the 3rd at bat. I'd need a couple to get my eyes adjusted after playing in a senior league this summer.
Gershon goes down on 3 straight pitches, and at bat number 1, at bat number 2, fouled things off and a dribbler down the line for
right. Right. I could definitely draw a walk. That's for sure. I could draw a walk. I could lay down a good bunt.
I didn't ask about that. I said, could you
maybe I could bunt single.
There you go. I guess
I probably can't move that well though. That's a problem.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to got to pick him up and put him down a little faster to get to the first base.
I could play some good second base still. I'm confident in that.
He's confident in his defense, but not in his offense.
Always. That's always been.
All right, final stop here.
My final stop. You know what? I'm changing it. I had an idea, but I'm going to change it. What is, in honor of me calling my favorite name I've ever called, an Adonis Batman in last Friday, who did get some minutes, and I had a blast messing around with that name on the call. What is the favorite name that you have called? If you can remember just a great name that you have called in your career. This might be a hard one to remember now, but is there anything that sticks out?
Oh, my. Favorite name of somebody that I've called before. I don't know if I have a favorite name that I can think of. I did have a lot of fun with Johnny Trulene, who is a guard now for Fort Hays Tech Northwest. He's mean, he's lean, he's a 3-point shooting machine, Johnny Trulene, which is kind of fun. But to me, it's not about the fun names. It's the names that you remember that you're like, how are you supposed to say that in a broadcast?
Right.
And those are the ones that stand out to me. Like, I remember a couple years ago when Seward County came to Goodland to play the Tech, and the women's team had a couple of ladies from Madagascar, is where they were from.
Oh, wow.
Madagascar. And they were really good. And I swear the point guard, who was their best player and had like 20 points, so had a lot of times you had to mention her and handled the ball. Her name was Akili. I think it was Akili Abakabukamiki. Can you imagine saying that? Abakabukamiki for 3. I mean,
that's good. That is good. That's a good one, though.
I mean, that is super difficult. So difficult as a broadcaster. I love those. Because you don't want to, and there's like, oh, she goes by this name. Okay, but most people don't know that.
Right.
Right. I mean, it was something along those lines. It wasn't exactly that because it was a real tongue twister. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Definitely.
And when you cover JUCO basketball, there are a ton of names. And you're just like, what is this? And there's so many people that wanted to name their kid like it's Johnny, but it's spelled G-H-Y-N-Y. And you're like, Ginny? No, it's Johnny. I'm like,
same thing at the D2 level. And when I was calling for Rollins, it's the same thing. It's a lot of international, so much. So it's tough, tricky.
So that would be my biggest thing on question 3. Yeah. There you go. 3 up, 3 down here on a Friday morning on the Morning Blitz. I'm making an executive call here on this, Max. I don't know if you'll be mad. You can yell at me after the show, I guess. I'm making an executive call. We will not be having a shows next week until Thursday. We will be out until then. I'm making an executive call. We aren't going to get together for me to go over a few things that you need to probably know before you do it on your own, and it's more on the setup of process of things. So we need to get together and go over that for later on. So this is the final show for a couple days. I am leaving town. I am going to where internet connections are not great. And so I will be out for this weekend, and then for the next until back on the 2nd of January is when we'll be back, and we'll resume shows then. So we'll be out. I'm spending time with my family backup in Nebraska for a few days. And so we will not be having any shows Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And we'll be back on Thursday to recap, which will be a very busy, with the college football playoff and all that stuff. We'll be back to recap all that. And, of course, get you set for the resumption of other high school sports, which will pick back up on that following Tuesday. There might be some games even on that Friday, honestly. I'll have to look at the schedule, but there'll be lots of things to get to. But no show Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here on the Morning Blitz. We'll be back on Thursday, January the 2nd.
A 3-run walk-off home run. A game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion. That baby's go.
All right, there are 3 big football games being played this weekend. You've got Nebraska at Boston College to kick things off on a Saturday morning on ABC. In the afternoon, you've got the Denver Broncos at the Cincinnati Bengals on the NFL Network. And then you've got the BYU Cougars and the Colorado Buffaloes in a bowl game, the Valero Alamo Bowl, one of the great bowl games there still is. That's on ABC late at night. What else?
Colorado State, for those few Rams
yeah.
fans. Colorado State playing in their bowl game against Miami of Ohio on Saturday as well. That is my dad's alma mater also.
Really? Your dad's a CSU
Gershon
guy?
No, he's a Miami of Ohio.
Oh.
Yes.
He's a Red Hawker.
Yes.
Okay, a Red Hawker. Nice.
Absolutely.
With that being said, you've got Nebraska, a 4-point favorite against Boston College. You've got Cincinnati, a 3-point favorite against the Broncos. And the Colorado Buffaloes, well, it opened up even. Now they are a 4-point favorite currently over BYU. Which one of those games you taking?
Oh, my God. Cincinnati and the Broncos. I'm so pumped up for this game. I don't ever root for the Broncos, but I tell you what, something about the Bengals is still a little frightening to me for what they did in 2021. So I'd rather the Broncos make it in and get the Bengals out of here. So that game is so fascinating to me. It's such a great matchup. I'm pumped up for it already.
Well, everyone knows where I'm going. I'm looking forward to Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, Boston College, Nebraska. Huskers 4-point for it. It'll be so fascinating to see if the Huskers can stop the run game. That'll be it for us. Once again, we're back again on this upcoming Thursday, January 2nd. For Max, I'm Ross. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week here on The Blitz.